Troy. I don't hear the intro music. That's my cue. And that should be your cue as well. Hey, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic here on Paltalk.com. Before we get too deeply into the program, I want to offer all of you, those of you who tuned in last Thursday, when we were in Wichita, Kansas at the annual BG Remote, and BG stands for, actually, I don't know what it does. It stands for bearings and gears. But BG Products is the world's leading formulation company, chemical company. And their goal is to formulate chemistry that keeps new cars new and restores old cars. And when I say restores old cars, it's a formulation of chemistry that's used in the automotive service aftermarket and at new car dealerships internationally. And that's what's so cool about it. It's international product, and it's a product that we used 25 years. We've used that product for 25 years, and today, for the last 5 years, BG Products has been a company that I've endorsed publicly. And I will tell you, you can go to bgfindashop.com anytime, anywhere, and just learn a lot about the ins and outs of your car. So I want to thank you if you tuned in last Thursday. Again, we were there Friday as well, and we were there Saturday for the nationally syndicated Bobby Likis Car Clinic 2-hour program. I hope that you enjoyed it. It was a lot about BG. I hope that it wasn't too much about BG, but it's important that you know, and I've got some information for you today about saving money on your automobile. I want to welcome you to Bobby Likis Car Clinic here on Paltalk.com. Finally, it's important that you know there are some things that you can do, some things that you can have, services that you can have your local service shop perform that will increase MPG. Now, I know that it's not as huge of an issue stateside, or gasoline prices that is, as some 60 days ago. But those of you who live in other parts of the world, and Sonny can attest to this, $8, $9, $10 a gallon for fuel is something that has to be contended with every day, and has for many years. So what do Europeans do that we don't do in the States, and how can we not copy them? I mean, look at Japan. Japan builds great automobiles. How do they do it? They took a Mercedes-Benz, for instance, and apart. I know I'm kind of shifting gears here, but not really, if you stay with me. They took a Mercedes-Benz, several Mercedes-Benz, to Japan, and took them apart and said, how can we make a car that has and garners as much respect as a Mercedes-Benz, but doesn't have all the problems that Mercedes-Benz owners have? And at that particular time, which was in the early 90s, if you owned a Mercedes-Benz, every time you took that car to a service shop, you spent $1,000. That was in early 90s money, not today's dollar. And so people who had bought Mercedes because they had come up in life, or their financial position allowed them to do so, or they wanted to reward themselves. A lot of people that buy expensive cars, it doesn't mean they can afford the car, but they can afford the payments. Either way, your choice. Those folks who owned those cars didn't know it, but they were looking for options. And options are great in life, and in all walks of life, and for every one of us, regardless of what color we are, what race we are, what country we come from. Options are the part of our lives, like freedom, that helps to drive the bus and drive us and allow us to get up in the morning. So options came from Lexus, and Toyota created the Lexus. And I will tell you, from a personal standpoint, I've owned a Lexus. One of my relatives called me, said, Bobby, I'm thinking about buying a Lexus. What do you think about that automobile? I said, that's a great car. They haven't been out that long, but he had a Mercedes that he lived some 5 hours from us. And by the way, us being Car Clinic Service here along the Gulf Coast of Florida is where our headquarters are located, and also our studios. So the bottom line, people bailed out of Mercedes-Benz and bailed into Lexus. And all you have to do with a Lexus, other than replace batteries, they're known to have battery problems. And if you drive a Lexus and you have it's 2 years old, make sure you take that pretty cover off the top of the battery and have a technician clean the battery. And you need to have a technician do that because you'll have to disconnect it, and you may lose some presets, and there may be some other electronic wizardry that happens at that time. So you don't want to just say disconnect the battery. Even with a Mercedes-Benz, if you disconnect the battery, the radio could think that it's being stolen because the connection was disconnected, and as such, it would go into lockdown mode. And so that was a deterrent because thieves that did steal expensive radios out of Mercedes-Benz couldn't use them anyway because they didn't know how to fire them back up. Bottom line, Lexus did make a good car and has followed on with a good car. I think now, and Japan's good at copying. So as we go, if I can turn full circle here, not go back, but just go full circle. When we copy somebody, we copy success. And if you really want to be successful, and I wish that I could honestly and categorically say that I follow my own what I'm about to say advice. I have not. I have been somewhat of a rebel along my years in the aftermarket service world, and the reason that I've been a rebel is because I abhor the way the automotive aftermarket positions itself to car owners, and one of the words that came out in the late 60s, early 70s was preventive maintenance. And by the way, there's no such word as preventative. There's no TA there. It's preventive maintenance. I'm tickled at times and humored by professional companies that send out flyers with preventative maintenance schedules. It's preventive maintenance. You prevent. And that's what a proactive approach will allow you to do. So preventive maintenance started out as changing oil and filter every 3,000 miles. And be sure and hold your hand up if you'd like to make a comment. But here's what happened. Someone along the way said, okay, you got to prevent this from happening. You got to change your oil. And of course, this started with the early 50s before my time.